Thanks, Dan. Wow, great crowd tonight. We appreciate everyone coming tonight. At this point, it's my privilege to introduce our special guest this evening, Brian Wiegand. Brian is a serial entrepreneur who loves to bring new products to new markets, build successful teams, and ultimately drive end value to end consumers. Over the course of his entrepreneurial journey, Brian has started and exited multiple companies, driving over $100 million in shareholder value. Brian was originally born in Wisconsin. He attended the University of Wisconsin at Madison, and since then, he has used the internet as his platform to deliver new and disruptive startups, including such name brands as Biz Filings, Name Protect, Jellyfish, Alice, and Hopster. Please join me in welcoming our special guest, Brian Wiegand. So Brian, why don't you start with your entrepreneurial journey? So, we're sitting here today at launch day. For many of the companies, they're only 3 months old, some a little bit older than that. You've been doing this for some time now. So walk us through a little bit about how you got started and what your journey has been like to this date.
Yeah, it's been an exciting journey. Probably not as exciting to everyone here, but I mean, coming out of Madison, I had a dream of working out in New York City. Kind of wanted to go down the investment banking path, and I actually got fired from my first job, which is really a blessing for me. I was living outside of New York City, and I didn't know what to do. And so I thought, I was living right outside of New York City, there's got to be something to get in trouble with. And so what I thought of is I was ordering some food very similar to like a Eat Street or Grubhub. You might have heard of some of those models. This is back 10, 12 years ago. I was thinking there's got to be a better way to deliver food in New York City. This was when Amazon was just incorporating and forming, so it's very early. And so I just found a domain name, eDine, and just started going door to door in restaurants in New York City. And I tried to incorporate that business, and what ended up happening is I found there was really no good way to incorporate it. So I thought, well, instead of going door to door, trying to put restaurants on the internet, why not just create a business to help businesses to incorporate? There's going to be a lot of businesses starting up. The internet was just getting started. So that kind of created this first company that just kind of sitting out of the basement. We brought on about $5,000 of investment from some friends, family, aunts, uncles, pieced it together. And it's funny because actually my server, the server was my PC and everything all in one piece, and I was doing the HTML, and it was just a classic kind of start something out with little investment, and kind of took off. And then that business sold, and then I formed. It was from $5,000 investment to, and then just kind of a young kid getting like a $14 million exit was just a big change for me.
We'll take a few of those tonight.
Yeah, and then you just think you're invincible, right? Let's just keep starting these things. And so I met up with Mark McGuire, who was coming out of law school, and I started another business, Name Protect. And then that sold for about $24 million. And then those were both B2B, business to business models. And you're feeling really good, right? You got a couple exits, and which are, I didn't realize how remarkable that might have been until you actually fail and keep going on. But then we decided to move into like the B2C space to try to do something with consumers. And so we created Jellyfish, and that one was a kind of an abnormal 18 months from the start. And then Microsoft purchased that, and then did Alice, and now I'm working on another one, Hopster.com. So that's kind of my story. I just love starting businesses, and that's why this is so exciting. I mean, this community right here of what you guys are all about, it bringing everyone involved with the entrepreneur community together is just amazing and exciting.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for a while now, obviously a chain of successes, and continue to have success to this day. What was the entrepreneurial landscape like here in Wisconsin? Granted, you started your other companies outside, but since you've been in Wisconsin, born here, went to UW, what was the entrepreneurial landscape like, specifically for tech startups, when you were getting started?
Yeah, I mean, a little over 10 years ago, I guess, when I first got started, there just wasn't there wasn't this. I mean, there just wasn't a community of entrepreneurs. There were no success stories. There were no mentors. There were very little investment opportunities, just aunts and uncles and moms and dads back then, right? And there wasn't a lot of angel funds. There just wasn't much starting. The valley was just starting to get hot, and there wasn't much going on here. And something that always sticks in my mind, I remember I was, this was before the tax credit program and all those other things. And one of the things that sticks in my mind is I forget what it was. I was filling out a government form or whatever, and it was describe your business. And this was, I think, business finance or name protect. And I was on there and said, all right, life sciences, no. Biotech, no. Med devices, no. Manufacturing, no. Other. And I'm like, other? Where is the internet on this one? And so that's changed now, obviously. But that's what the environment was for an internet company 5-10 years ago. There just wasn't a lot of options in the community of what we have here today.
Yeah. So we've come a long way since then. That being said, I personally believe that we still have room to grow here as a community, as an ecosystem, not only in Milwaukee, but Wisconsin and throughout the Midwest. If you could look into the future, if you could control the future, where would you like to see the ecosystem, and where would you like to see kind of the entrepreneurial landscape as it relates to tech startups here in Wisconsin 10 years from now, or sometime into the future?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and everyone has an opinion and thinks about it, and it's just amazing what just the last 3 or 4 or 5 years have brought, and the change is accelerating. And so where does that go? I mean, a couple different things. I mean, I think that we need more successes. The successes I've had are generally very little. I'm questing for bigger and more successes, and I think that'll help. I mean, just as an example, at Jellyfish, right? We sold for about $50 million. We had 24, 25 people. Of that company, there are 5 people, including myself, 1, but then 4 other people that went out and started 4 other businesses. Of many businesses of which you might have heard in the community. And so I think that's exciting when you have a success and you get that next generation and that culture of it, and it continues to go. So I think we need some more successes, but I also think we need more failures as well. As much as that's as sad as that sounds, I think we're going to have to, being so new in this entrepreneur community, if you think about it, just built up over the last 5-10 years on the internet side, I'm speaking of purely, there's this culture we have to define here. I don't think we should copy Austin. I don't think we should copy the Valley or what. I think we have to define our own identity here of what we are here, and balance that with the fact that I think just entrepreneurism, startups are a very risky business. I mean, I've been very fortunate to have started 3 and sold 3 and still trying to go to a 4th, but not everyone's going to be successful. And I just think the Midwest, we have a very conservative, kind of risk-averse type of approach. It's one of the things I love about the Midwest. But it's going to be interesting as we try to find our identity, growing with the startup community, entrepreneur community, how we're going to adapt with this very risky world of 1 out of 10, 1 out of 5, whatever the kind of ratios.
But tonight it's 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
For everyone in the audience, 5 out of 5. Sorry.
And that's very hard to, that's one of the challenges, right? I think that we need to do invest more and grow more, have more successes and more failures. And I think that'll really help continue to accelerate the growth.
Yeah. So here at Generator, we really pride ourselves in being a mentorship-driven accelerator. So we really rely on individuals like yourself who have seen both success and failure and have been able to mentor entrepreneurs in our program. Having really been successful and as an entrepreneur here in Wisconsin, in specifically startups or tech and software, how do you see your role, or what do you see your role within the startup ecosystem here?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot about that.
And has that evolved, I guess?
It definitely has evolved, because I'll be honest, the last thing I was thinking about is helping other people when I was doing the first few businesses. Is that, you're so maniacally focused. And now I honestly feel that you have a responsibility. I mean, I think the corporations in the area, and I love seeing some of the things American Family and et cetera are doing to invest in the community. I think we have a responsibility from a service provider, from successful entrepreneurs, from companies, and I think we all have to chip in and help. And that's one thing that I've gotten a very poor grade on. I haven't done as much as I could. I'm just starting now, and that's why I'm really excited about this program. I'm starting to mentor. I'm a mentor of several companies in generator that I'm excited about, and I've invested in 6 or 7 startups in the area. I'm on 5 or 6 boards, and I just feel that there's a responsibility, and we all could do a little bit more to help out, and that's one thing that I'm working on. And it's so hard, right? Because you're focused. I have my own, entity that I'm working on, and it takes 150% to make that successful. But I also think it's important to give back.
I really liked how you touched on, if you were to look into the future, let's say 10 years for the ecosystem, and you said something that struck me was an increase in failures as well as successes. I think it's easy to paint with a broad stroke and look at entrepreneurs, or only look at the successful entrepreneurs, or only look at the successful moments for entrepreneurs. But you, as well as other entrepreneurs in the audience, have had failures as well. What have you learned most from your failures?
Well, I can sound cliche or trite here with the, you don't know how far you could go until you fail, something like that. But it is part of that, though. I mean, you can't win every one. Not every baseball gets hit out of the park, and I think you have to. And again, advice I would give to if I was just starting out, if someone would give me advice, is don't be afraid to fail. Go after it, and don't worry about the failure side of it, because I think it's part of that, and that's kind of my point I was making before. Failure in unsuccess is part of this process. I mean, I think it'd be neat if we could get startups to be 100% successful, but it just isn't realistic. So it's part of the community, part of the process of startup and entrepreneurship. So I really think that you have to feel the side of the success and the failure in order to really do well.
So enough about failure.
Wait, I wasn't expecting to talk about failure.
What's your most proud moment as an entrepreneur?
Most proud moment as an entrepreneur, if I say that when the money came in the account for the first one,
fair game.
That would be so cheap and shallow. But it is about money. But no, I mean, it's honestly, it's moments like these. I mean, just think about it. It's just a guy who gets fired from a job, gets up and starts a few startups, and have an opportunity like this to help other people and do these types of things. Now that's very cliche, I guess. But no, this is fun though and exciting. But those are all good moments and part of this process. I'm extremely blessed. Many of us are blessed in this whole thing to be able to have this chance, be in this community, and be able to raise money and have a chance to do something. The American dream. That's just very exciting.
What would you say, Brian, is the best part about being an entrepreneur?
For me, is I just don't like having a boss. There's all kinds of investors of mine out in the community here that maybe I'm getting myself in trouble, but that's the freedom to be able to shape your own day, to be able to do what you want to do. And I think one of the things of that in starting a company, you have to be able to turn on a dime. And I think you have to, businesses are turning from information that's coming in. One of the advantages of being a startup, you could be very nimble. And you have to be able to handle that along with, and I guess another example this again is kind of something I've always lived by, is when you go day to day in a startup, and some of you maybe heard me say this before, but is some days it's bankrupt Brian, and some days it's billionaire Brian, and you think you're so smart, you're going to do this unbelievable, this startup's going to be awesome, and then the next day something bad will happen, and then you think this thing's not going to work at all, and you have to be able to maneuver through that environment. And I think that's something that I've really enjoyed, is that crazy, chaotic environment. I can set my own agenda and do that every day.
So tonight we have really 5 of the best companies we've had to go through our generator program. They're about to come on stage. They're all about to pitch. It's nerve-wracking. It's a position you've been in before in terms of pitching to investors. What advice would you have for them?
Yeah, I mean, throw away the note cards, forget about the presentation, and I would probably say just go, if you think about it, you're selling every day, you're selling yourself. At this stage, I think these companies, they've started it, they've gotten this far, they've gotten into the generator program. It's just speak from the heart and share that passion of what you're doing. And I think that's what's so exciting about a startup, is you have a chance to just really immerse yourself and get excited, and that has to come across. And I got a chance to hear some of the presentations, and these people are really excited. And I think my advice would be to just speak from the heart and go after it and take advantage of this amazing opportunity. When I didn't have a chance to come and pitch, people like this for my first business or second business, and this is a really unbelievable moment. And then I would say, finally, I think they should just have fun, right? Enjoy this and live it up and take full advantage. And everyone's captive attention, and they get a chance to do this. It's amazing. They should take advantage of it.
Great. Well, we really appreciate your support, Brian, and wish you the best of success in the future.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.